I can.
Sorry about that. I had to open it on Safari. This happens all the
Oh,
time. It's either one platform or the other. So I had to log in.
yeah.
I apologize.
No, you're fine. This whole thing is like some weird technology learning curve for me.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel it.
a- and half the time it's like I have to Frankenstein the hell out of every episode. Because sometimes it'll like just stop recording and I'll be talking to myself or vice versa.
Yeah, yeah, we've switched our software a few times with ours, and it took a while to find one that was not causing like really muddy overlap or anything. He had to sit there and that's more on my co-host than anything. He has to go through and clean it all up, and he's finally kind of mastered it. But I
Yeah.
mean that took 3 years of us figuring out
Oh
like
my
what the fuck we
God.
were doing. So yeah, yeah, but it's
Yeah,
fun.
I've been doing this since August and I still don't really know. I know how to talk though. That's and I can press
There's
the record
yeah,
button.
there's no knowing. There's no knowing. It's just doing.
I know it's so funny because all these people are like, "Oh, I got to put music, I got to edit, I got to do this," and I'm like, "I just record it and put it into the world, and then we're done."
Get right to the fucking point, right? Get right to the
Exactly.
point.
I
Yeah.
know. Maybe I'm lazy. I don't know, but it's just like I don't know. I think it's funner that way. It's not like fly by the seat of your pants podcast.
Right.
And I
Yeah,
love it.
I
I
agree.
love and I love it when everybody's like, "Well, what's it about?" I'm like, I don't know, whatever.
An all-encompassing pop culture experience, it seems like. It seems like you cover a lot of ground.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's just whatever I guess pops into whoever's head at the time.
Yeah.
Um, I try not to make it so contrived. Um, like I said, it's more about like getting wisdom through conversation and just getting past the bullshit.
I love that. I love it. I like a podcast where I don't have a lot of expectations in the sense of like I can talk about anything, but some podcasts are like, come with your top 10 favorite blah blah
Oh
blah.
yeah,
And I'm like, God, that's a lot of
yeah,
pressure. Like I have to have like cliff notes and everything.
I
At least
know.
with this, I can just let my hair down.
Yeah, it's like a vacation for podcasters. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's weird because I have had people who don't have shows, but I think it's kind of fun for me to like have people who have podcasts on here. But I think it's probably fun for them because it's almost like a vacation.
Yeah. Everyone likes a chance to just bullshit, talk about whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I do have to get out of the way because I am curious. I need you to tell me about meat.
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely. Well, first of all, is this technically rolling? Is this like already
Oh
going?
yeah, no, this is all
Oh my
recording.
God. Oh my God. I love it. No. Oh, that's great. Well, then let's dive right the fuck in. Um, yeah, let's talk about Meat. So, Meat is a feature film I'm directing. Um, it is a film that I've been working on I mean, the script I've been working on since 2016.
Oh wow.
In different variations and different scripts, they grow, they develop, and I was really learning. I've worked in indie films since I was 18. Like I've literally been doing this since I was a teen, and it's just what I
Hmm.
love to do. But I want to develop and evolve my craft, and I want to make
Right.
something more. If you're happy plateauing, then that's I don't know. You should find something else to do. Like you should never,
Oh yeah.
you never want to plateau. So I was like, this is a bigger thing for me. So, um, it's been a long journey, but it's a feature length film that is an LGBTQIA plus themed slasher. You don't
Hmm.
get a ton of queer horror, but we're kind of at like a forefront of like a movement right now. You're
Oh
starting to
yeah.
see a lot of it come out, and
Hmm.
I'm jumping in the pool. I want to be one of the voices that's lending to that, and
Yeah.
so this thing has become something way bigger than I ever expected, but I'm really excited for where it's going right now.
Yeah. It's a cool pool to be in. I feel like I'm starting to go, well, maybe I should interview some other people because I feel like I've been on like the queer horror tip for like a minute, and it's not just what it's about, but it's like I love it though.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Um,
well, I mean, the queers have always been the outcasts, and think about
hmm.
like horror, horror in general embraces the outcast.
Oh yeah.
So of course we relate with it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was saying on one of the other episodes, we were talking about it started with me thinking about Disney villains and how they're all gay or queer or whatnot. And then I was like, then you think about the classic horror monsters and how it's really just kind of um, I guess a smoke screen or a different way to, illustrate the us deviants.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, so many of those classic stories and films had gay influences. Before people even knew that they had that being
Mhm.
infused into their pop culture. No idea that the gays were working behind the scenes and making the fashions and designing the looks
Yeah.
that became iconic. And like,
Mhm.
even, I mean, Disney, like, a lot of the musicals were being written by gay men
Yep.
expressing their personal journeys and their stories. I mean, that's a completely different genre, but the
Yeah.
gays have been involved in the development of cinema,
Mhm.
and what's going on, behind the scenes. And it's time that I think a lot of those stories start being told. And luckily they have been, like, especially since, the two early 2000s on, we were getting a lot of indie queer cinema.
Yeah.
But there's not a ton of queer horror. Like, there's only so much. It is starting to bubble up now, though. I do like seeing that. So that's pretty
Yeah.
kick-ass.
It's good, and now there's so many different varieties. Like I often ponder this because like I'm 45, so a lot of the when a lot of the I don't know if it was Renaissance or whatever it was, but like late 90s, early 2000s when it was just like so many gay films came out, and we flocked to them and we watched all of them. And now I get older and I'm like, well, did I love those because they were good movies or because it was all that there was out? Um, and it's like you want to support the community, but it's like, then also it's like, well, I want to like it because it's quality. So, but now I feel like there's much more out there. So, um, there's, more being produced, and we can be, I guess, more discerning.
I think it's always been tough for gay to be mainstream, like the
Yeah.
focal element, a focal aspect of something. Like, yes, gays have become like really major side playing characters in a lot of like mainstream series, and there are like definitely queer infused mainstream series. There are very queer series like Pose, but they're few and far
Yeah.
between where the queer is the focus, unless it's like really like leaning into it and made for a queer audience. But there's not a lot of
Yeah.
things that I feel that are queer that are also like, really being structured and stylized for a mainstream audience.
Right.
Whereas anybody can kind of jump in the story, queer or otherwise, and keep up with it. Like, I think the one thing with horror is like there's a lot of aspects of horror that people flock to it for. Like, a
Mhm.
lot of people are looking to be scared, but a lot of people are looking to see gore. A lot of people are looking to see a great killer. A lot of
Yeah.
people are looking for amazing chase sequences. Like, there's so many aspects that can make a standout horror movie. And I like to think, like, with a movie like Meat, I can lean for a mainstream enough film that it's aggressively gay, but it
Yeah.
gives the viewer so much of the other things they love about horror that they can't
Mhm.
really deny it unless they really are like a piece of shit. And I don't know if you let people swear, I'm sorry,
I
but like,
do.
come
I
on,
do.
like, if you can't get down with this movie, I'm sorry, you suck, you're boring. Like, come on, like,
Yeah.
this movie is meant to be fun, and I really hope, if anything, that is something fresh and new for a queer audience. Is a mainstream slasher,
Yeah.
just like any other slasher, that just happens to be really freaking gay.
I'm assuming that it's got like 500 different entendres in there in the title.
Have you, like, some of our taglines are like, our main tagline is "He's going in raw." Like, meet the movie this
Oh.
summer. He's going in raw. Like,
Oh my
just,
God. I hope he's on
yeah.
prep. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely there really is. I'm trying to think of some of the good ones.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I have a whole series of posters with each character poster where each one. Oh, here's one. It's meet the movie. Prime cuts and tight butts,
Oh
and
my God.
that's a tagline. It is. It's like you're gonna get a bunch of hot dudes,
Yeah.
most of them not wearing clothing. It's really trying to
Yeah.
take the classic horror slashers of the 80s that
Mhm.
completely objectified the women. Come
Yeah.
on. I mean, that's what we all grew up on.
Yeah.
And it's almost a joke now. So with this, we're flipping it. There's a bunch of awesome women in my film who are
Mhm.
never once going to be objectified in my film, but the
Yeah.
dudes, I mean, like, they're smothered in baby oil and they know what
Yeah.
they're there for, and it's just
Yeah.
giving gays I think that experience, that kind of those classic tropes that you look for from the classic slashers.
Hmm.
But it's a male gaze for the male gaze.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's nice that we're now the ones creating the content, and it's not, you know, I guess a good example, bad example, like Nightmare on Elm Street 2,
Yeah.
um, where it's very queer forward and queer created, and it's not. There's no gay panic. There's no, it's not, the butt of a joke or the villain because all the whole community is just evil.
Yeah.
So it's nice that there's control of the narrative, and I definitely believe that men should be objectified, and I do that daily.
Thank you. Well,
I
then
have
you'll love me.
Yeah, I have so many friends that are like, "Oh my God, would you stop staring?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, they know they're hot, and I don't care, and I'll bring attention to it, and I'll make them feel like a piece of meat, and I don't give a shit. It's high time that the tables have turned.
Turn the
So,
tables, and turn
I,
them I shall,
I
and
know.
provide a smorgasbord of
Yeah.
really handsome guys who are also very talented. I have a
Oh
very
yeah.
talented, attractive cast, but yeah, I mean, they knew coming to this that was kind of the joke of it all, and it is with a wink and a sense of humor, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because like I don't remember how I discovered your Instagram, but I did, and I can't remember if like who followed who, but I was like, "What is this movie?" Like that's pretty cool. Okay, and then I just kept following, and I was like, "I have to have him on my show."
I appreciate it. I do. That's been a huge helpful. Um, I mean, one of the most helpful aspects of being a filmmaker in 2024 is the fact that social media is everywhere and it can be so
Hmm.
influential. And honestly, all
Yeah,
it takes is the right hashtag or the right meme, and all of a sudden you can
yeah.
develop a following. Like we have someone took a still from one of our photo, or a photo from one of our stills that I had released. It wasn't even a still; it was a behind the scenes photo I took on my phone. But it's of,
Hmm.
of one of my characters just like sitting in a pool of blood, screaming, and he's
Hmm.
turned it into he turned it into a meme, and now it's fucking like circulating, and like the gays are sharing it. People who don't know what Meet the Movie is are sharing it, and I'm like, wow, it's so crazy how like now it's just a matter of having the right like visual at the right moment for something to
Right.
become viral, and it's not necessarily going to be what carries you to having millions and millions of supporters, but it is going to get
Yeah.
more eyes. In one day you can get a couple hundred people's eyes on your material,
Hmm.
and that's all it really takes to start getting a buzz going. So, and that's the whole goal here. We've been wanting to create a buzz and get people like you who enjoy the genre and know what we're doing and get it. They get the kind of approach that we're taking with it. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you reaching out.
Yeah. And that's how you know that you've made it in this world is you have a meme or you
I
are
mean,
a meme.
yeah. One of my actors, he hates it though, because like it's just
Oh.
the meme itself is it's like a crude sexual meme as it should be. But he is
What
like, I
is
was like,
what does it say?
so it's him sitting in a pool of blood,
Hmm.
and someone wrote, when he lies to you and says it's not his first time, or
Oh.
something like that, or like something like basically it's like because the blood's pooling under his ass, and it's really funny.
Yeah.
It's written funnier than
Oh
the
my
way I
God.
put it, but it's the
Yeah.
visual is like perfect with it. And but now like people are calling him, and I'm so crude. I'm so not crude. I don't like toilet humor, but people are calling him blood fart, which I
Oh.
think is disgusting,
Oh
and I
my
do not
God.
want associated with my film. But I mean,
Yeah.
hey, I'll take whatever I can get, I guess. But now
But
this whole thing is all over the place, and he's like, "Oh my God, what have you done?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. This is just how social media goes."
what does they say? What do they say about bad press? We'll see if it's true, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Or
one thing I'll
questionable.
say, I'll take whatever if I can get any word of mouth, as long as it doesn't, I don't know, put me in a place where something is like illegal. I'll fucking
Oh
take it.
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
take
yeah.
even people saying that my projects are shitty, though I don't want them to be. I genuinely want my
Right.
work to be as good as possible.
Right.
But like that's why we've really leaned into like I'm sure you'll notice like every image we release, we're constantly doing like promo shoots, and
Mhm.
just doing like having different photographers come in and making sure like this can be as eye-catching as possible because of social media. Like you've got to make
Right.
sure your product looks higher end than it actually is,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
easy to do that.
And I have noticed some of the bisexual lighting in your pictures too. You've heard of that
Oh,
term, right?
oh my God, yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I think, truthfully, I mean, there's a few characters in the film who are bi. My partner is bisexual. Like,
Oh,
I
okay.
think bis often get kind of like a bad rap from other
They
gays,
do.
which I hate. So
Yeah.
I want to make sure my bisexuals feel the love as well. There's definitely bisexual lighting all over Meet the Movie.
Yeah, I have a long sordid history with bisexuals, and I mean it's better now. It used to I was because you get burned, but it's the individual, not the whole sexuality or anything or that
Yeah.
community per se. Um, so yeah, I don't know where bisexual lighting came from, but I love the whole idea, and it just tickles me.
Yeah, no, yeah, and I mean, lighting in general is probably one of my favorite aspects of just doing anything film related. Period, because you can tell so many stories in just one visual. It doesn't even need dialogue, but if it's lit a certain way, you can create such a mood. You can practically tell the story just with the lighting alone. You can at least convey the energy that you're wanting to portray. And I love that you can manipulate a sequence with lighting so much and make it you know from flat and boring to sexy and erotic just by throwing some
Yeah.
reds and some purples in there and working off their skin tones. It's a very collaborative process.
Yeah.
I had some great guys working on my team who are just so talented, and I love lighting. It can do a lot for a film. I mean, obviously, but like having someone who can be a creative lighting designer and not just light it to look camera ready, but to light it to look beautiful. That's such an
Hmm.
ace in the sleeve to have.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm reminded of I just for the first time the other night saw Infinity Pool.
Oh
It's
yeah,
have you seen that?
yeah, no, absolutely,
Okay. So the lighting, and especially in like the orgy scenes, and like that certainly did have an effect. That was like a trip and a half. Um,
yeah,
that was a wild, wild movie.
yeah,
And
yeah.
definitely, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Like he's a Cronenberg.
Yeah, I listen. I love David Cronenberg. I love his you know overall visual approach. It was not in any way trying to be conventional, which I think is
Hmm.
so badass. All of his
Yeah.
movies, none of them are necessarily quote unquote mainstream at all, and I think that it is such a something to strive for. Like I keep saying about making a mainstream horror movie. Yeah, I do want my film to be seen, but I also hate
Yeah.
that I have to like rely on that to make a form of impression. I'd love to be so free and wild with my art and just say, fuck it, I'm gonna kind of throw all the rules to the wind. But I'm not confident enough to do that yet. Like David Cronenberg's such an evolved filmmaker.
Right.
Fuck, like I don't know. He could afford to be weird, that weird.
Yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
I still have some learning. I mean, I feel like it's always a learning process, but I don't
I
know.
know.
I got to make
I'm just
something
curious.
marketable first.
Yeah. I'm just very curious to see what else his son will do. I think it's wild when, people take the baton and run with it. So,
Yeah. Hey, well, I think if you grow up in a household with an artist like that, there is no way that you're not going to come out of that at least in understanding um, the process of creating. You may not
yeah.
love it. I'm sure there's people who've grown up with musicians for parents and not wanted to sing. But
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
how lucky are you if you actually have a passion to do that, to lean into that
Yeah.
art or whatever it may be and be good at it? What an
Yeah.
awesome exposure he had as a young filmmaker to be able to work under his father like that. I mean, what a
Oh
gift!
yeah.
How
Yeah.
cool! Yeah.
So what movies and or directors have inspired you?
Uh, I mean, I guess the first director to inspire me was George Romero. And I think that's what really made me want to start being an indie filmmaker. And thinking
Hmm.
I had any reason to do that. Because his original films, Night of the Living Dead, the original Night of the Living Dead,
Hmm.
1968. I mean, they made that on an incredibly low budget. Pretty
Yeah.
much the exact budget I made Meat with, but that was in 1968.
Yeah.
But they made something that was a cultural phenomenon and has impacted the horror genre and created the modern day zombie, and I
Hmm.
just thought that was so, groundbreaking, and I wanted to have a similar kind of impact. And so I don't know, so that was the first influence I ever took away from a filmmaker. From since then, I've come to love like Italian horror, Dario Argento.
Hmm.
I obviously Suspiria. Every gay is going to say that, but of course I love it. But I
Yeah.
love movies like Demons, and I love Italian horror in general because it just incorporates, like we've been talking about, lighting,
Yeah.
bisexual
Oh
lighting. I mean,
yeah.
this is
Yeah.
where it all culminated, and I think became a true art form is through this type of cinema.
Yeah. I know I'm
Yeah.
probably a bad you know, gay horror person, but I've actually not seen Suspiria.
Listen, you know what? Get stoned as fuck. I'm not going to assume that you get stoned, but if you do, go get stoned.
Rarely.
Treat
Rare. I'm not a
yourself.
good stoner. I'm not a good
Okay.
stoner.
Well, I don't know. Pour yourself like a cocktail. Just
Okay.
sit back and just get prepared for a film that is very weird but visually
Oh
stunning.
yeah.
And it
I've seen a lot of clips at my favorite gay bar in Atlanta down the street. They
oh
play a lot of like clips, and it's just one of those like dive bars. It's called Mary's. It's the most
yes.
amazing gay bar ever. But yeah, they play clips from that. I'm like, okay.
I love Atlanta. It's probably my favorite city. My best friend lives in Atlanta. She is in
Oh
Meat.
nice.
And I've been there to visit her a few times, but I love Atlanta. Your gay bars are
Yeah.
kick ass.
Oh
So
yeah.
of course they play clips from horror movies. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I feel like I've been to Mary's. Let me
Yeah.
find out that I've been to that same gay bar because that would make a
You
lot of
probably
sense.
have. It's in East Atlanta Village. I don't know. Like the gay scene's it's fine. I mean, Mary's is definitely my favorite though. There are a lot of them that are a little too, I guess, nudie maybe. I don't know. Just
Is it like
I
a
don't know.
hole
It's
in the wall? Like it's a really long bar? Does that sound
yeah,
right?
it's a shotgun style. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I have been there.
Mm,
I have been.
yep.
I think my friend, that's like her hangout spot there because it is grungy. It's got like
Yeah.
kind of like a
It's a
bear
queer
vibe.
bar. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's my
I
vibe.
probably
I
know
like
your
it.
friend.
Probably,
I'll
probably.
have to
She's in
do
the
my
movie.
research.
Her name's
Yeah.
Caitlin Newberry. She's in Meet the Movie. When you see her, you'll
Okay.
recognize her. She's lovely. She's an Atlanta actress, like all of the other girls there as well. But
Oh
she's
yeah.
she's thriving though. I love her so much. She's the best gal I know, and she's doing honestly. She's landing parts that are like the step up from, like, she's not doing indie anymore. She's doing like roles in Hulu shows and
Oh nice.
working under major directors. And I'm just like, girl, I'm
Nice.
happy I worked with you while I still could. Like, it's exciting to see your friend thrive.
I have no interest in being in front of the camera. Like at first, I think when I was younger, I was like, I wanted to like be rock star and model and everything. But like now that I work in the industry, but like on the other side, I'm like, that's more fascinating to me. Like the whole piecing everything together and the production aspect of it. Like I don't want anything to do with on camera anymore.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I grew up acting, so I have like a love for it. And if I don't do it, I feel like I get down on myself because I miss it.
Yeah.
But I have such like an intense passion for the creative aspect behind the scenes.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like that's like where my neuroticisms are their strongest. Like
Yeah.
like I mean, like, I with Meat, I was like, I want to be in charge of all the costumes, and I want to decide
Yeah.
on how everything looks. And I probably was like overextending myself, but I love it. I do. I love the creative aspects of honestly anything like that. Being able
Yeah.
to have that kind of the ability to take the visual in your mind and come as close as possible to recreating it in real life is thrilling. The process of creating that is really thrilling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I think the first time that I went into the art department for the last show I was on, I just went in there and I was like, this is where I'd like to be. It felt right. Um, it's interesting. I mean, it's a weird world to be in. I would love to be back after this whole strike business, so we'll see what happens. Um, I don't know. It's been a long dry spell since July.
I hear it, and I think that on my end of things as a filmmaker, on the independent aspect of working within the industry, um, I have to capitalize on the time frame that's going to be coming to an end with what happened with the strike and everything.
Hmm.
For the indie filmmaker, that was a time to support, obviously, the movement that was happening. But while nothing's being created, like, you've got to create, like, you've got
Oh yeah,
to, and so I
yeah.
had to like with Meat, like, I had to capitalize, like, it has to screen by June,
Hmm.
because there will come July, you're going to get a burst of new material that
Yep.
has been, simmering through the whole strike, and now it's finally going to get finished and come out, and there is going to be a dry spell here for a few months that indie filmmakers are lucky if they get their projects out within that time period, because people are more than likely going to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've got to capitalize on that, but I also am really happy that movement, was able to come to an end and come to a conclusion,
Oh yeah.
because yeah, I know a lot of people who are suffering. I know a lot of people in the industry who, like you're talking, were out of work, had nothing to pay the bills. Like, I mean, that was a really
Yeah.
scary time for a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully, I was able to pivot a lot. I think I've learned that in my years, just figuring out, like, how to do side hustles and things. So there are a few things in the works, but we'll see. I am excited because actually this evening, one of the shows that I worked on is premiering at 9, and I'm very very excited.
What show?
It's Echo.
Okay, let me look
Yeah,
this up. Echo, tell
Echo
me a
is
little bit about it.
it's a Marvel. It was created by David Mack. It is a Maya Lopez. She's a indigenous woman, and she's deaf. It was originally, the character on the show was in Hawkeye. So it's like a spin-off type of thing. But the guy that created um, the character is like one of my favorite artists, and so coincidentally, I just happened to be working on this. I'm like, oh, how funny.
I've
Um,
seen the promo for this. I've seen it.
yeah.
I know what you're talking about. You were involved with this?
Mhm.
Oh my god, that's fucking kick ass. It's in like the
Yeah.
Daredevil universe, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, no, that's
So.
awesome, and I love that they're tying him in,
Mhm.
like, into the MCU, because I know they weren't sure if that was going to become canon. And I love that they let at least that aspect of the Netflix series become canon, because
Yeah.
a lot of people love him, and so that was really, I think, a cool choice. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, this is actually probably, we'll see. This may be the first production that have been in the credits, so we'll see. So that's
I
kind of
hope so.
exciting.
Yeah,
I know.
absolutely.
Yeah, I got to work on She-Hulk, and I've only done Marvel, so I did She-Hulk and then Echo and then Agatha. So I'm hoping there's more.
Awesome. I
So
love
it was,
Agatha. How cool.
yeah, yeah, that was fun. That was the one of the, because I didn't realize, like when I started, I didn't really, I was just like, give me whatever. But then when I heard
Right.
about Agatha, I was like, I want to be on that one, please.
Oh yeah, no, she's so great, and what a good cast that they have for that. And
Oh, it was
She-Hulk
amazing.
got, like, I feel bad because I feel like there were, of course, Marvel fanboys never cease to baffle me, because Marvel has always been so progressive, but fanboys get so offended when there's anything at all, like, remotely, like, female, like,
Hmm.
empowerment or anything, and, like, everything that happened with, like, the Marvels was a bummer. I think a lot of that
Yeah,
was, like, internalized. A lot of the fans being just shitty, not wanting to
yeah.
see a female driven project or vehicle. um but She-Hulk, like, listen, I think that the She-Hulk series, out of all the shows and all the movies that are trying to capture the tone of Marvel, I think
Hmm.
She-Hulk, most dead on recreation of the tone of the comic out of
Oh yeah.
anything that
I mean,
they've
it
offered.
was fun. It was refreshing. It was something different. It was like Marvel meets Ally McBeal.
I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, that one was good. I came into that on the tail end, just during reshoots, but that's a fun show. Um, yeah, it's a weird universe because it's like I'm not really a comic person, and so I think it's good for me to be in it because I don't really know material too well.
Yeah.
Originally they asked me, they're like, "Well, are you starstruck?" I'm like, "Yeah, unless it's Madonna, not really."
Oh, Madge. How's she
So
doing? Is
yeah,
she doing okay on
she's
that tour
good.
right now?
She's great. She's in Boston right now. I just bought
Mhm.
tickets. I'm actually seeing her 2 days before my birthday on February 8th in Cleveland, of all places.
Oh my God, my hometown. My very good friend Teresa's
Nice.
going to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna go, but a friend of mine was like, "Hey, for Christmas they're like, we want to fly you out to come visit," and then they're like, "Oh yeah, Cleveland's a half an hour away," and I was like, "Interesting."
Yeah. Oh my God, awesome. Small
So
freaking world.
yeah, so I'm seeing her on the 8th, and then I didn't want to wait till the 1st of April. That's too far away. So
I
yeah,
am envious of you that you get to see this. I was toying with the idea.
you should, you
I'm gonna say,
should.
I know, but my partner and I just, we literally just booked a trip to Puerto Vallarta in March.
Um,
And so it was like something where like, if we're going to splurge, because we're in the middle of a house renovation and we are cutting the budget tight. I'm also making a movie. Keep that in mind. And that's like
yeah, that too.
majority out of pocket. Like I have raised a
Yeah.
lot of money, but yeah, so I really
Mm.
like I've been trying to like not splurge like at least until I get everything wrapped up with the movie, which is tough because I love to indulge. But like
Right.
I didn't go see Kesha when she came through in October. Like I've been
Oh, I actually saw
depriving
her.
myself. Oh, stop. You saw her most recent tour in Kentucky? Where did you go?
No, I saw her in Atlanta. She played at this little
Stop.
venue called the Eastern, and it was
Yes. Oh
like
my
it was
God.
spur of the moment. Like my friend was like, "Hey, I guess their partner was sick," and he's like, "You want to go?" I was like, "Yeah, of
How was it?
course." It was really good. It was really
Oh my
good.
God, she's so good live. Underrated. I love her so
Yeah,
much. But
I
yeah,
know. I was
I'm
very
just not treating
surprised.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a
Well,
great live vocalist.
this is probably the worst time to treat myself since I'm unemployed. However, I was like, fuck it, birthday, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I didn't spend that much. I spent more for the Atlanta show because we're in the pit.
I yeah, I've really like there's been a lot of tours that have been coming through that I really want to see. But
Mm,
I mean, because obviously after COVID, like there's no live music, and now all of a sudden you're getting this big burst of it. And
yeah.
I'm just like, oh, I'm just like really like gnawing like at wanting to go see something. I did go see. We went to oh my god, New Orleans, and we saw Chapel Roan. She's a newer artist, and so
Hmm.
there's just not as many opportunities to see her. I guess at least at the time, she's starting to blow up. But we decided to go see her, which is really cool. I don't know. I've so much I fucking want to do with music like this year. Like so many big
Yeah.
shows. Like there's a lot of like what was it Bonnaroo just like released its lineup. And it's
Mm,
just I don't know. Like I would love to go and at least go to one of these big events this year because I'm yearning for it. I want to go to like a big fucking concert.
yeah. Yeah. I haven't been to a festival in forever. I don't even know. Yeah. It's been a minute. Like I used to go to like Lollapalooza when I was younger, when it used to travel. But
Yeah,
it just depends. I don't know if there's a mosh pit, I'm less interested.
yeah. I hear that. I'm a mild mannered concert goer. I'll give a hoot or a holler now and then if I really like a
Yeah,
number, but like I
yeah,
just want to go live in that moment. Um, I don't need anybody touching me, bumping into me. I like my
yeah.
bubble. Yeah, I
Right.
get it. But I'm jealous you're seeing Madonna. I mean, my
I know. I'm
God, after all that
excited.
surgeries and everything, the poor girl. I didn't know she's gonna get back up there, but of course she did. Fucking workhorse.
Yeah, she almost died.
I
So,
know. I know. Well, that leg's
but
not ever been the same, but she's still fucking
no,
pushing herself so hard.
yeah, yeah. She's uh, she's a Leo.
Ain't it the truth? My partner's a Leo, and let me tell you, I imagine that he and Madonna are very similar in temperament because
Oh, I'm sure.
is Madonna's a straight shooter, and she knows what the fuck she wants,
Yeah.
and she won't have it any other way. Ugh,
Yeah. My sister's a Leo too, so I get it.
yeah.
Apparently, Leo's like my opposite sign. Like, I think I'm either supposed to be like with a Leo or a Gemini, and I'm not gonna be with a Gemini.
What is your sign?
I'm an Aquarius.
Okay, so at least we're water sisters.
No, I'm an
I'm
air
a
sign.
Cancer. Oh my God, I'm sorry. No, then I'm
I'm the
bad.
water
Aquarius.
bearer.
I'm sorry. I'm a Cancer.
Well, that's, I
I'm a
mean, cancer's
Cancer.
good.
I mean,
Um,
I'm just emotional. I'm
yeah,
very emotional.
definitely. Like male cancers are very like I've had a lot of I have a friend who's a cancer and he's been very snappish in the past and I I have to give him a lot of credit I suppose. I'm like, oh yeah, you're a cancer, I get it, I guess, but don't do that
We,
again.
we hurt easily and we feel a lot, a lot of things. Well
Yeah,
intentioned, well intentioned.
yeah, same. I think I very emotional, but also very aloof, and also very I can hold a grudge like nobody's business.
I hold a grudge for a short period of time, and then I always am the one to be like, fine, I'll let it go. And honestly, I wish I held grudges longer. I think it would make my life a little more exciting.
Yeah. Well,
I always been,
it just makes it easier, I feel, because it's like I think once you like are forgiving and then you let whatever back into your life, then it just happens all over again. So
yeah.
I don't know. Like I have a lot of friends who continue to be friends with their exes and things like that, and I'm like, oh no, when I break up with them, they're dead. They don't exist anymore.
I'm somebody who I can maintain a friendship with all of my exes. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like a mild mannered. I'm not though. I'm very emotional. I don't know why people still want to be my friend, but I'm friends with literally one. Like I would say, there's all but one of my exes. I still am at least reach out and message each other every once in a while and see how they're doing. They all live in different areas of the world with different partners, but I think it's possible to end things amicably. I
I mean, you
strive for it,
can.
but it is exciting to like hold a little resentment, isn't it? Like,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think my biggest thing is that I realize that when I'm in relationships, like I go in head first, and so like it's. I mean, especially with my ex, because he was fire sign and I'm an air sign, so that can either be like really like very comfortable, like flame, or it can just like burn the whole city down.
yeah. I mean, I think
So
there's pros and cons to every combination, no matter how you shake
yeah.
it.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, but yeah. I will say in the sense of like my partner matching his sign. Um, in the sense of what's described for Leo, he definitely does. But I say that's beneficial for me because I'm very like scattered. I am very emotional. I'm like emotionally turbulent. Um, and I think it's good to have a very balanced sign that is very forward facing. Like, he's going to get what he wants without anything standing in his way, and it kind of makes me have to like be on top of my shit as well. It's good to have,
Yeah.
I think, that kind of balance whenever you bring those kinds of personalities together. So I think there's always a good combination no matter what. It's just about the individuals and their actual negative traits, the person that you're dealing with or what have you.
Yeah. Unless you're a Gemini.
Unless you're a Gemini. Who do I do know a Gemini. I know a Gemini, and they are a Gemini. Um,
Well,
how would you describe a Gemini to me?
um, the which one? No, there's
Just
like two of them. It's just like you never know who you're talking to.
okay.
It's
Well,
it's
okay.
like multiple personalities almost.
I would agree on that actually.
Yeah,
Um,
the energy is so
yeah.
like frenetic, and it's just it's a lot. I mean, I do have female friends that are Geminis, and it's a different vibe. I mean, it is obviously different between the sexes as well. Um, but I get along with girl Geminis, guy Geminis. No, not at all.
No, no. Okay.
No.
Got it. If you were the most compatible socially with a sign, what sign would it be?
Uh, I tend to I get along with Virgos and
Okay.
Libras for some reason.
Okay. Okay.
Libras though, I feel like I have their number because Libras are the scales, and so like I feel like I know what they're up to because Libras are very like play both sides of the field, but it's more like an altruistic, like it's about them. So like I'm at least aware of that. So I always know that whatever decision Libra makes, it's going to be about them. I mean, which I guess can be said about a lot of people, but you know,
Mhm.
um, I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, I don't take it as like 100% like this is I don't bet my life on any of it. It's fun. It definitely is kind of telling sometimes. But I don't think like I'm not superstitious about it,
Right.
about the astrology.
Yeah. Yeah. I find it interesting, especially because I do find a lot of people who do match, the traits that are described for their signs. And I oftentimes, I guess, I hear the idea of like, oh, but you could say that about any sign and you'll find things that apply
Yeah,
to you. But I'm also like,
yeah.
no, no, there's definitely signs that I am personally definitely not. And I
Oh
am a
yeah,
Cancer. Like, if I were to break down what a Cancer is, I am all of those things. And I
yeah.
do believe that, the the times of the year in which you are developing inside of the womb, I'm sure there's a lot of things that are impacted, such as the gravity of the moon, whatever it
Oh
is, the
yeah.
tides, I don't know. But like,
No,
I'm sure all of
totally.
it naturally plays a factor into developing key elements of who you are and just how you develop.
Yeah, like I feel that it's also different depending on like which month you were born. Like for me, like January Aquarius, they're quite different than in a February Aquarius. I feel like they're almost more chaotic because they're probably closer to the I guess Capricorn. Um my friend Andy is trying to tell me that I'm a Capricorn because apparently somebody redid all the signs and they're like, oh, well, it's outdated and you're actually like depending on when you were born. And of course, him and his partner got to say the same signs. I'm like, well, that's not fair. He's like, so that would make you a Capricorn. I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't see it.
I find it amazing that like people are able to just dead on identify my sign. Like, I mean, people are always, when I'm getting to know people, if anyone throws it out, they're like, "You're a Cancer, aren't you?" I'm like, God, is it really that specific? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just the poster boy for my specific sign. But yeah, I don't know. I wear it proudly.
So are you crabby then?
Absolutely, absolutely, I am extremely crabby.
Oh,
I'm so crabby. I am. I'm very emotional, but that's a mixture of, I'm sure, my side and mental health. So like,
mm.
I think that's
so
most people. But
so your poor partner should probably get a merit badge or something then, huh?
oh, he's a sweet, sweet, sweet partner. Yeah, he puts up with a
Yeah,
lot of shit, but he's very supportive. Like, I mean, he's put up with producing my movie, over the last 3 years of our relationship. It's been technically like in, pre-production into production.
yeah,
um he's been there for, the whole thing. He was the one that he said, he's like, you really should pursue this. If you're going to do it, do it. At least give it a full shot. And I was like, okay. Little did he know that that would be, over $100,000 later.
yeah. There's
But
that.
it's all for the best. It's
Oh yeah, I mean
all
it's worth it in the
worth it.
end. I mean, and
Yeah.
then who knows what's gonna happen? I mean, you said you're shooting for June for it to come out, or
June premiere. Yeah, we're shooting for a June premiere. Um, we're we're in the middle of post right now, and it's that stage that you think, oh, this is going to be relaxing, and it's not at all. It's actually the most
no?
stressful part, because like every little audio
Mhm,
bit that doesn't sound right,
mhm,
all of the anything with just finalizing like the color correct and all of that, like it's those little details that are so
mhm.
stressful. Filming is stressful because in the moment you're like, am I getting everything? But it's so fast
Right.
paced, it's like
Yeah.
high adrenaline. Now it's just every little detail, and you're just focusing and focusing and focusing, and it's really hard to like, I don't know, like, honestly, sometimes you feel like you're going to start hating your own work because you're looking at it so
Oh
much, and you never
yeah.
want to feel that
Yeah.
way, you know
That's probably
but
why I don't edit anything. Like
yeah.
um, I guess when the pandemic started, I started writing a book, and that's kind of how a lot of this came about because I was writing a book about my autobiography and my childhood trauma and all that fun stuff. And then I got to a point where I felt like it was almost finished, and then I'm like, okay, well, let's edit, and I No, I don't like editing. I need somebody to actually do it. But then also, I realized that this podcast became like an offshoot of that, because there are a lot of things that I do, I talk about anything and everything. And so I feel like a lot of things in the book, I've just like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it on here. Because, why not? It's just grown legs. And,
Yeah.
but definitely having to edit and then seeing whatever your art is over and over and over and over. You get, kind of like overseeing it and dealing with it. And I'm sure you're probably anxious to be on to the next thing, or at least enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's easy to become like desensitized to what you're creating. And that's where you can
Mm-hmm.
really kind of fuck up at the end of the day. That's where you can kind of drop the ball because I don't want to say you become lazy because I no filmmaker is lazy in my opinion. I mean, it's such an
Yeah,
ongoing endeavor, but it's easy to just kind of want to just be like, oh, I'm done with this, and really kind
yeah,
of fall short in those final stages. And that's why I think with a lot of independent film, like audio is often a place in an area where we struggle. Or again, like color correction, just like tightening the edit. A lot of filmmakers, I think, struggle with letting their scenes go too. Like that's something I struggle with.
yeah,
Sometimes you have to cut something, and it's something you maybe love, but it's for the betterment of the final film. You've got to prioritize it, the film as an entity.
right.
I have a friend who calls it you gotta kill a couple children, like in the Bible where they had to kill their they had to pick a few children to go so the rest of the children could
Oh,
survive. Um,
it's like
I
Sophie's Choice.
Exactly. You gotta kill a couple children. But we're not there yet. But I mean, I'm gonna sit down. I'm sure the film will probably be like 2.5 hours. I'll be like, Jesus Christ. And then I have to cut
Yeah,
away at stuff. And that's tough,
yeah.
that's tough.
Well, and I mean, you also have to have people in your world that are objective and not just yes people that can like really you can bounce ideas off of them, um, and we'll see the bigger picture.
That's the most insightful thing I think you could say. Oh my God. If you don't have a team around you that can both like lift you up and support your vision, but also
Hmm.
come to you as a straight shooter and say, hey, we're all on the same team here, but for the betterment of the project, I'm
Yeah.
going to have to suggest this or this. You can't be scared of hurting people's feelings a little bit
Hmm.
when you know that it's going to overall make the final product stronger. And I've had to swallow a
Yeah.
couple pills, many times over as people have told me this has got to go. We got to cut this moment. We can't use the sequence. But I get it. It's tough in the moment. My God, it's tough.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
know it's hard because it's like you don't want to like, especially when it's somebody's baby and it's their vision.
Yeah.
Um, like this morning, I text my friend who directed one of the Echo episodes, and I was like, "Oh, it's premiere day. I'm excited." And she said, she's like, "Well, let me know what you think, like your honest opinion." And I'm like, "Please God, let it be good." I mean, I will
Yeah.
be honest with her.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I've never been one to sugarcoat because I don't think anybody needs that. I mean, I'm not going
Yeah.
to be mean, but like I feel like people need reality in order to grow and then really get more of, I guess, an understanding of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because you get trapped in your own ideas, and sometimes they aren't always good.
Yeah, I've fallen in love with so many of my own creations so many times over, and then after the fact, like had to have it removed for whatever reason, and I fought tooth and nail,
Hmm.
to keep it. And then I look back, I'm like, oh, that was a
Yeah.
lot of my own pride, and it's humbling. But being humbled is a necessary step of the
Oh yeah.
process. You can't have an
Jesus.
ego when it comes to the arts. You can be proud of what you're creating.
Hmm.
You can be
Yeah.
proud, but to have an ego is the most dangerous, I
It
think,
is.
weapon that you can have against yourself.
Yeah. That's what
Yeah.
I've learned, especially working in this business, is that I need to be humbled every single day. When I started and I got my pass and I went into the studio and was driving around, I thought it was the shit. And I was like, look at me, I'm somebody. And then I got lost, and then I got humbled, and I was like, good, okay, we're back down to, and you have moments like when you think you're the shit, and then that's when my foot steps in and is like, no, no. So, and I think it's good because you lose sight of who you really are and what you're really doing. Um, and then things can go horribly, horribly wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm very lucky to be surrounded with the team that I'm surrounded with, because I
Yeah,
know that they have my overall the best interest in mind, the project's best interest in mind. I'm so
yeah,
lucky to be working alongside the team I'm working alongside with Meat. And I don't know. I'm very, very lucky to just be surrounded by amazing artists. I mean, if anything's humbling, it's seeing other people who are on top of their game in a certain area, in a certain, under a certain
yeah.
title, someone, great fucking lighting or
Hmm.
flawless sound, and watching them create. I don't know. I'm someone who likes to put on a lot of hats, so I like to kind of
Yeah.
work in every department. And I have some departments I really love. I love working in costume, or anything to do with like a creative design element for a film. I have an interest in that area. I may not ever do it in the sense of make that my career, but I do like just getting my hands dirty so I can understand. So if I am directing a project, I can get on that level and, talk the language and be on the same page as the person in that department, and
Hmm.
and be of assistance to them. I think that's important.
Yeah. I think the best thing is that when everyone's focused and has the same vision, and they're all on the same page, that's like when it's like a creative orgy almost.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, like when you're at your peak, most creative, and there's a united energy amongst the whole team. I mean, it is a titillating experience. Like, it is something that, like, when you are really creating your best work together as a team, that
Hmm.
energy is very personal, and it's something that you share amongst those people. And a lot of times you don't forget those experiences when you've created something that you're truly proud of. You're never going to forget that. That's going to be one of those highs that you look back on, that literally gives you like a full body high. When you need some
Yeah.
of those endorphins to be released, you're going to look back on those moments and be like, oh my God, that's why I do this. Like, that's why I at
Oh
times
yeah.
subject myself to the lows that come with being a
Yeah.
creative.
Yeah. I had one of those moments where it just like everything clicked. I mean, and I'm not high on the food chain by any means, but when I started working and I met my boss and he's like, "Oh, do you want to come work for us?" And I was like, "I don't know. I wasn't sure." But, after all the grueling work that I had done and just, dealing with everything, when um I was on set, which I wasn't supposed to be because COVID, and, it was in the heart of it. When they brought me on and I was watching them film, I was like, it was very emotional because it was like I realized what we do, and this, the whole magic, and this is, and then when you see it on, big or little screen or whatever, and it's just, this is what everyone came together to make, and it's a very neat feeling without
Yeah.
sounding cheesy.
Oh no, not at all. Nothing cheesy about it. Absolutely. It's why I do it. I mean, I have a 9 to 5. I have a career that I
Yeah,
have outside of film. Like, I would love it if film was my career of I mean, I say of choice. Of course I can't say of choice because that would be my choice, but the career
yeah.
I am I don't want to say forced, because I like my job. My 9 to 5, I actually like it. But it's
Yeah.
necessity. It's a job out of
Oh yeah.
necessity, and
Oh
I
yeah.
want to be able to work in my career that stimulates my passion. And so,
Yeah.
hopefully meets the stepping stone to that. I would love to have opportunities open.
Yeah.
Once meet is concluded, I hope that's the case. I really hope that people see growth and evolution in my work. But
Hmm.
I have a great team. I'm working with really great people, and I think that alone is going to make for something that is going to be really visually enticing for people. I think it's going to be a great final project when it's done.
Yeah, most definitely. And
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see your meet.
Oh, thank you. I get it every day, and I'm like, you know what? Every time I hear it, I'm like, yes, Double entendres. I mean, I live for them seriously, and
I know, it's great. No, I am excited about it. I mean, it seems like a really cool project, and I definitely look forward to when you unleash your meat on to the world.
it's gonna be big. Just
It just,
as I tell people, open wide.
oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
well, I think on that wonderful note, I very much appreciate you being on here. I look forward to seeing your movie and all your endeavors, and I will try and whore you out to the best of my abilities.
How kind of you. I mean, thank you. That's the terminology of choice, I would say. Whore me out. Make sure people
Yeah,
know, especially
yeah.
your gays. You know, like I know that a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
gays love horror, and I
Uh-huh.
just want them to know that I have them um, in mind with this movie, and I'm
Oh,
gonna give them
most
what they want.
definitely.
I'm gonna give them what they want.
Yeah.
So thank you for supporting. I really appreciate you outreaching and including me
Oh
on your
yeah.
podcast. It was very fun. It was just what I needed.
Yeah. Good, good. And it is fun because I told a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, what are you gonna have on next?" I'm like, "Well, it's this director and his movie's called Meat," and they're like, "MEE or MEA?" I'm like, "EA." Oh.
Yeah,
So and then they get
exactly.
intrigued. They're like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Well."
It's exactly what you fucking think it is.
Exactly.
And it knows it.
And also the spiky mask thing is just that's a lovely touch.
Thank you. I have it designed for multiple years now, and I feel like now we're in an age where like that whole leather look is coming back in, and I was like,
Mhm.
that's really why like it's got to come out this summer because I don't want this. I want people to see this killer and be like, that is not like anything I've seen before. That's something
Yeah.
that I want to see more of, and I'm very proud of the killer design. It's sexy. The whole movie is
Mhm.
very fetishy. You're gonna see it. I mean, like it is aggressively sexual. So just know that that costume is was selected on purpose. We wanted to give that
Yeah.
energy with it.
Well, you'll have to let me know when and where I can view your meat when it comes out.
I
I
will.
can't
I
stop. It's just
will. Oh my
great.
god. I know. I know. Oh my god. Oh,
It's perfect.
it is meant to be. It is a social media marketing dream come true.
Well,
This
and
title.
that's why it was funny because you're like, oh, asking about swearing. I'm like, I've talked about getting fucked in the ass on this podcast, so yeah, it's all as good.
I listen. I This is the right film to talk about. The
Yeah.
sequel. The sequel
Oh
title, I'll
God.
tell you right now, because there's, if fingers crossed, everything. But the sequel title is Meat to the Bone. so,
Oh my
so
God.
with the number two. So there's a little
Oh my
tidbit
God.
for fans. Just know that this is meant to be a series. But till we get to that, listen, the double entendres, bring them on. I have literally
Oh,
sat
it's
down and just tried
amazing.
for hours trying to find
Yeah.
options because I use all of them. But yeah,
Well,
I thank you again for having me. I really appreciate this.
no,
This was
thank you
really
for
fun.
being on. I'm glad you
Yeah,
had a good time, and I look forward to seeing it, and I'll be in touch.
awesome. All right. Well, thank you. And I can't wait to hear the next episode of your show as well. And if anyone is open to following on social media, I go by The Scream Queer. So Roger Connors, The Scream Queer. But yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great
All
night.
right. Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.